Hello and welcome to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I am glad to be on the air with you all today. Just a friendly reminder to please be safe when you are around others. I mean, even before the pandemic, we've got to make sure that we are giving each other space, making sure that we are just making sure we stay in the same proximity that we were in. Don't allow people, if they're feeling sick, don't go around them. Even when you're outside, do the buddy system because we are getting close to summertime and we want to make sure everyone stays safe. Also, before I go any further, I encourage you right now to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to the show on the go on your electronic devices. Also, make sure that you tag a friend and have them listen in today because today's discussion is going to be very impactful. And I know before I go deep into any of this discussion or talking today, I have to take the moment to share some legendary news with you all. If you have not heard, Ms. Ketanji Brown Jackson has officially been confirmed as the first Black woman in the U.S. Supreme Court. Woo! I am so happy because, the last time I was on, that was the thing I was talking about. I was just talking about what amazing things she was doing, and I've been praying that she's able to be here. So I thank God just to be able to see this amazing young woman and this amazing woman in our Supreme Court, to know that there's someone who is representing all the African American women, young girls, teenagers, even children, just for us to be able to look up to her and say someone else did it. It's amazing. So make sure that you are sending your congratulations. I mean, I am so excited, but I could not tell you all what was going on. But I do also want to say that I thank you to those who have been tuning in to every show. You are all helped me so much to be able to keep going. And if you are listening, I ask that even after every podcast, every time I'm on here, anytime you hear me, I ask that you please go ahead and try to reach out. I mean, I know at the end I shout ways you can reach me, but I do want you to be able to just give me some more topics of inspiration. If there's something that you feel that you want me to address, go ahead and message me so that we can get this talk on the radio. But to dive into today's discussion, I do want to say that, as you know, there are a lot of things that children have to endure. I mean, I've been talking about so much, but I want to really hone in on something today that is near and dear to my heart. And so most of the time when you hear the term caregiver, more times than not, you think of adults. Very rarely do you think of youth or children being caregivers. But did you know that there are approximately 5.4 million children between the ages of 8 to 18 in the United States providing care, support, and assistance to sick or disabled siblings, parents, or aging relatives? There are, and no doubt, there are likely a whole lot of youth in our community. So today, I want to touch on a subject that is near and dear to me because it not only affects so many, but it affects me personally. So today, my topic of discussion is youth caregivers, a growing population. Now, when you hear that, of course, you hear the word growing population. That means that it's expanding, that it's constantly growing, it's constantly fluctuating. Youth caregivers are really starting to be the talk and starting to be the rise in 2022. And if you don't know what a youth caregiver is, youth caregivers are children, like I said, from the ages of 18 who may be caring for a disabled parent, people with chronically ill siblings, elderly relatives, and their challenges and experiences vary. I mean, you have some people who may be caring for a sick sibling, but then they have younger siblings that they're caring along with as well. So they're not only caring for that sick or disabled person, they're caring for their little siblings or they're caring for their parent. They're just in the place to be able to make sure they're okay while still growing up. I mean, a lot of times you see that these youth who are caring, they may experience things like anxiety and depression because they don't have those right people in their life to keep pushing them, and they don't have those resources that they need to be able to find people. And so, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been a lot of youth like myself, and even before COVID, that were in the place of a caregiver. They were kind of pushed into it, kind of faced with the opportunity to care for that loved one, and they took it because they knew that they needed to make sure that they were okay. And with people getting COVID-19, people getting infected, you've seen some kids even having to be temporary caregivers where their parent is sick, so they have to make sure they provide them food and they provide them their necessities. Or you even have their siblings who may have been sick, or they're caring for the whole household. There's children who have to financially make sure that their families are okay, whether it's having extra jobs, or they may be in high school and they're juggling trying to do clubs and school, caring for a loved one, and just simply being a kid. And it can be a lot for them. I mean, and a lot of times people don't hear about youth caregivers, especially when you're in school. I mean, as a high schooler, I've never really heard people openly just say I'm a caregiver, or people talk about it as much. And that is, for some families, they don't like to disclose that their children are youth caregivers because they may fear that they may be taken out the home, or they just rather not disclose that information because it is now something for them to do. And now they're in the long haul of COVID, where people are having these lasting effects. I mean, even after getting COVID-19, there's some people who weren't just automatically feeling better after a week. Some of them may have diseases or lasting effects from it. And it's placed so many children in the place of being a caregiver and placing them in caregiving situations. I mean, you heard me earlier. I said there are approximately 5.4 in the US. Just imagine how many that is in Florida. Imagine how many that is in Tallahassee. There's so many youth who are caring. And you may be wondering, well, Kaylin, why are you so passionate about this? Why do you even care about this topic? Well, to inform you, I am a secondary youth caregiver to my grandmother, and I was also to my great-grandmother, who unfortunately passed away back in January of this year. Both of them have had Alzheimer's. And after watching them having to go through their pain, having to watch them deteriorate over time, because that is what happens when people have Alzheimer's. Their brain is slowly not recognizing those cognitive functions, and they're not able to function in the best way possible. And so after watching that, after seeing that, I knew I had to find a way to advocate, to care, and to raise awareness for other youth caregivers everywhere. But just to give you a little backstory into my own personal story, a couple years ago, my mother started to notice that my grandmother began not to remember some important things like driving, cooking, and even sewing, which happened to be her way of income because my grandmother used to be a seamstress. And we had to go over there daily to make sure she was okay. And then that turned into sometimes bringing her to our house on the weekends so that she could stay the night and we made sure she was okay. And then eventually it moved into her permanently living with us because she needed that 24-hour care and watch. Then later in the year, after she moved in with us, my great-grandmother needed the same care. So we moved her up to Tallahassee with us to make sure that she got everything she needed to be okay. And it was a crazy year. A lot progressed, a lot happened. We went from having our own lives to then adding 2 more lovely additions and caring for them, because we, as family, me and my mom have always been passionate that if there's something going on, that's our family. We're going to make sure that they're okay no matter what. And I was never forced into being a caregiver. I mean, my mom always gave me the opportunity. She's like, you can help, but I'm not going to force it onto you because at the end of the day, I want you to be a kid. But I mean, if I'm in the house, if you know me, if you've heard of me, you know I'm the type of person where if I'm in that situation, I'm not just going to watch it before my eyes. I decided to make that decision right there to say I was going to care. I wasn't going to just allow my mom to go through it alone, you know? I mean, and we depend on each other. I mean, we have a lot of good systems that we've built over the years to be able to help each other out and balance different things, whether it's sometimes where she wants to rest, I'll watch my grandmother, or sometimes where I need to do work, she'll watch her. We have a nice equal balance, and it's good. But while this is a great situation for me, there's so many other youth who don't have that. I mean, like I said, I'm the secondary youth caregiver, but then you have so many children who the primary caregiver, they don't have a family member to reside on. They don't have those necessary funds. And some of them are having to get 1 or 2 jobs just trying to supply for their family. They're juggling all this while just being a kid. They're helping prepare meals. They're helping transport their loved one or their siblings to the bathroom, sometimes helping and assisting with bathing, sometimes cleaning the house. And they're making that choice every day to care. Now, some of them, they may not have wanted to do it. I mean, like I said, I wanted to, but some people were just forced into the situation. They had to roll with the punches of life and keep going. And it's very important because the big main thing that youth caregivers know, the word sacrifice. I mean, it takes a lot of sacrifice, whether it's sacrificing, and this is not me personally, but many people and many caregivers that I've been able to meet and speak with have said they've had to sacrifice doing extracurricular activities to make sure that they're home for their siblings or they're home for their parent or their loved one, or they are having to not be able to participate in like prom or homecoming, certain things like that in school that most kids look forward to because they have to care for that loved one. And so with me personally, I really just wanted to find a way to help. And I mean, I was watching my mom care and I was filling in where I could, but there was one major thing to happen to me with the COVID-19 pandemic that caused me to completely just speed up to really find a way to help youth caregivers. Back in January of 2021, my mom actually contracted COVID-19 and she found herself not being able to come out. Like they said, she had to stay in for the full amount of time that you had to quarantine. So I had to step into the role of the primary caregiver for my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother. And with the help of family and friends, I did grocery shopping, laundry, cleaning, and caring on top of doing my homework, going to school, making sure that they were accounted for. I also helped with my mom. If she needed food, I would bring it to the door and then I'd bring it back and we'd have everything cleaned up so that no one got infected. Prayerfully and thankfully, my mom was the only one who had it, so it didn't go any further in our house, which was amazing. But it did cause me to really think like, wow, I did this for a week. I can't imagine what these youth are doing on a 24-hour basis. And so I knew that I wanted to find a way to honor youth caregivers. So then in February of 2021, I created the Kaylin's Caring Connection Youth Caregiver Awareness Drive, where I solicited for people to nominate youth caregivers from the ages of 8 to 18 to be honored with the KCK Youth Caregiver Award. And we spread the word through advertising on social media. We asked for donations from people and businesses in the community. We also were granted the opportunity to get interviewed by Miss Katie Kaplan with WCTV News. And I actually was featured on this radio station to talk about the drive. And we were able to raise several cash donations. We sold shirts that said Youth Care 2 on them. And we were able to raise money for 3 winners and 1 honorable mention. In the end, we gave a total of $750 for the 4 caregiving youth. And from that drive, it just turned into a movement. I mean, I was led by God to keep going. I mean, it may have felt like a one-time thing in the moment, but I knew that this movement, this advocacy, this awareness is going to help so many people. And so I had to keep going, and I'm going to continue to keep raising awareness because youth caregivers, they need help. I mean, we don't have many resources. If you go online, if you go on websites, you see that they have resources for adults, even with Alzheimer's situation. I know I'm dealing with Alzheimer's, but there are kids whose parents may have cancer, or they have alopecia, or they may have lupus. They may have so many different diseases, and they don't always have support groups. They may have support groups for the adults, and they may have the care and the education to give to these adults, but it's really not here for children. It's not provided for those youth caregivers. And so even with Kaylin's Caring Connection, while I am trying to implement that here in my community, I also am just soliciting for people to continue to hear about it. That's why I'm here now speaking about it, because if we don't find ways to help youth around the world, to help these caregivers, to give them resources in the school, to be able to help them, then they're going to keep struggling. I mean, a lot of them don't reach out for help. A lot of them aren't going to openly just come to school one day and say, hey, I'm a caregiver. Some of them may be embarrassed. Some of them may feel like people won't understand. And mainly it's because they're just afraid how people will react to them telling them that information. And so if you know someone who may be a youth caregiver, or you encounter someone who may be a youth caregiver at your school, someone you work with, make sure that you become comfortable with them. Don't allow them to feel like they're in it alone. If you can find a way to help a youth caregiver by providing a meal one day, or deciding to pay their bill for the month, or maybe going and paying for their groceries for the week, anything would help. They don't have all those necessary things. And you have other organizations like the American Association of Caregiving Youth. That's in Boca Raton, and they're doing things down there. You even have organizations that are spurring all around the United States. But a lot of the research to be able to help youth caregivers and to implement programs has actually been done in the UK. A lot of that is being advanced there. So we, as the United States, we got to find ways to implement these programs. We really have to address this situation, because youth caregivers can't struggle alone. I mean, I mentioned earlier that a lot of them struggle with anxiety and depression, and there's so many more. They end up feeling lonely because they don't have anyone to talk to, or they don't have these support groups to be able to reach out. They need those people there. And so we have to implement, as administrators, for specifically in Tallahassee, I just need these administrators. I need these teachers. If you may have seen a student who may be a youth caregiver, or you may not even know that was a thing. You may not, this may be your first time hearing about youth caregivers, but being in that position that you're in, I'm just encouraging you to find ways to help them at the schools. I mean, I met with my school, and I'm still trying to implement things, but we were able to even talk with them to just let them know what youth caregivers are, so that teachers are on the lookout. A lot of times they don't reach out. Like I say, youth caregivers are not going to reach out, but those teachers, I know a lot of people know, especially people like me who are in high school. We all have those teachers who we know are more than just teachers. They're there to be helpful for us. They are mentors. They may be people that we can always rely on. And so if you are one of those teachers listening, be that person for that youth caregiver. If you know they're struggling, if you know that they're turning in assignments late, or maybe they're struggling on something, reach out to them, because they may not always reach out to you. And while this population of people in the world continue to grow, and as we keep seeing that even with COVID, it's causing people to get in this position, we have to find a way to close this gap, to close the gap from seeing the youth care too, from seeing different things. We have to expand, because if we have the same problems, if we still have all this going on, we're not going to be able to be that for them. And while Kaylin's Caring Connection, we are a resource. We are trying to help. We're expanding the Youth Care 2 movement to all schools in Leon County. If you need a resource, if you're listening and are a youth caregiver, you can always reach out to me, to my organization, because we are trying to provide that care. We will be providing that connection, and we will be providing that education, because that's the most important thing. You have a lot of youth caregivers who will say, I was placed in this situation, but I didn't really know certain things to do. Like, coming from someone who is a youth caregiver for someone who has Alzheimer's, I had to do a lot of research. I mean, my mom, of course, she was research when she first found everything out. And so I had to read some things with her. What are some ways I can better deal with the situation? How can my attitude be different? And we've learned, even with us, that we have to go into their world and be able to adjust to what they're feeling to allow everything to go smoothly. But there's some kids who, parents, like I said, have cancer, and they don't know how to help them with chemo, or they don't know how to deal with them when they're in depressed states, or when they don't know what's going on. We have to have that education. And so, like I said, if you are a youth caregiver listening, feel free to reach out. We are a resource. And if you know someone with Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's Association is a great resource. I know that if you have cancer, you have alopecia, there's so many things. We have such an amazing thing called the internet. And the internet is so vast that we can find so many resources, but we really have to establish them in our communities. And you may be like me. You may just be a kid who cares and just wants to find a way. You listening right now and you're hearing about things that youth caregivers have to endure, and you say, how can I help in my own community? I may not be where you are, Kaylin, but I want to find a way to help in my community. Well, you can always decide to start the initiative. You can spread resources. You can show your awareness. And if you are here in Tallahassee and you wish to join and allow this to keep going, you can join the Kaylin's Caring Connection Youth Care 2 movement. This movement, I believe, is going to continue to expand, and it's going to continue to impact as many people as we can, because we want them to know that as long as they keep going and as long as they know that they have people out there, then they don't have to worry. They have a resource right here. And so, speaking of all of this and speaking about youth caregivers and the things that they endure, I do want to announce that the main reason that I really wanted to talk about this is because, as I mentioned, I did start the KCK Youth Caregiver Awareness Drive last year. Well, this year, I'm doing another one, the second annual Youth Caregiver Awareness Drive. And like I said, the purpose of this drive is to acknowledge and celebrate as many youth caregivers as we can. We want them to know that we see them, and while they care for others, we care for them. And that's very important. That right there, the fact that you know that we see you, we want to be that care for you. We want you to know that while you're making long nights, sacrificing all that you have, sacrificing your time, your blood, your sweat, your energy, your tears into caring for your siblings or caring for your loved ones, while just trying to be a kid, while trying to develop into the young woman or man that you are, you have to know that we see you. And while you care for others, we care for you. That is the motto. That is the whole thing for Kaylin's Caring Connection, and the Youth Care 2 movement. But back to what I was saying, because I am passionate about that. I mean, we see you. We want you to know that you are doing an amazing job. And so with this drive, we are asking for you to submit nominations. We want you to nominate a youth caregiver from the ages of 8 to 18, for the 2022 KCK Youth Caregiver Awards. Woo woo! Every nominee will be acknowledged, and however, we will be selecting 3 of the nominated youth caregivers, and they will receive a special prize. But the link is now up on the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com. On that website, if you click Youth Care 2 Movement, it will show you all things that are going on, a background of what the Youth Care 2 Movement is, and it'll give you some brief things about what's going on in this drive. But I do want you to know that when you are nominating these youth, the requirements are they have to be 8 to 18. They have to be caring for a loved one who is either a parent, a sibling, someone who's sick or disabled. They could just be caring for their siblings because maybe their parents aren't there, or maybe they're just that big and older sibling who has to care for the family. But that's the requirement, that you do that. You also have to, the second step is to go to www.kaylinscaringconnection.com. And then once you are on there, you are going to click Youth Care 2 Movement. And once that page loads, you should be able to see a sign up sheet where you're able to log in a few information, and then I'll ask you a few questions at the end. But if you know anyone who is a youth caregiver, please nominate, because we want to be able to acknowledge as many as we can. Even if they don't receive anything or receive the big grand prize, we do want them to know that we see them. And that while they care for others, we care for them. We want to acknowledge and celebrate the great things that they're doing, because youth caregivers are amazing. I don't think they should hide anything. If you are a youth caregiver listening, be proud. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of selflessness, and it takes a lot of patience to do what you're doing. Never give up, and never try and allow others to tell you that you can't do it, because you can. You can keep going. You can keep pushing. You can keep caring, and you can keep loving. You can keep doing everything you're doing, because at the end of the day, you're making a difference in your family, and you're going to help those that need you. You're helping those who genuinely care for you. And the hope and prayer is that one day, if that ever happens to you, that someone will return the same favor to you. So keep caring. And then I do want to say also for this drive, for the KCK Youth Caregiver Awareness Drive, the nominations opened last Sunday, April 3rd, but they will close on Sunday, April 24th, 2022, and the winners will be announced on Sunday, May 1st at 7:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin live podcast. And so I'm going to need everyone to make sure, again, that you remember when you're nominating, make sure that you nominate, make sure that you are getting those youth caregivers on, because we want to get as many as that we can. But being that Kaylin's Caring Connection is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, our ability to be able to give and support these youth are simply done through donations and the generous donors of people in the community who simply want to help. So even if you don't know a youth caregiver, even if you just want to support the cause, you can always join the KCK Youth Care 2 movement, and you can donate. The ways to donate are you can either give it to our Cash App, which is $Kaylin Cares, or go to the website, which is again www.kaylinscaringconnection.com, and pressing the donate button, and it will show you a list of ways to be able to give to this organization, because all the money, again, this is a nonprofit, so none of this stays with me. It'll be going to help as many people as we can in the community, and we really, really want to blow this drive up big. So please share this with others. Please allow this to spread the word and really, really get out there. Again, the nominations do close April 24th, and they will be announced on May 1st. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much to those who have already helped. And I just hope that you please support me and my organization in our endeavor, in our efforts to advocate for youth caregivers. But that was the main purpose of today's show. I just wanted to give you some education on what youth caregivers are, share a few facts, and really allow you to hear my story, because while this is me talking about this, I do want to be able to come back on and allow you to hear other youth caregivers' perspectives, because I do want to keep raising awareness. So be on the lookout for more. But a few announcements before we get off is that, second, I want you to remember to please don't forget to vote at www.tampabaygospelawards.com for Hallelujah 95.3 for the radio station of the year. Woo, woo, woo. This will be for the 2022 Tampa Bay Gospel Awards. So we really, as a member of this station, I am asking you that you go nominate and that you go vote for this radio station, because we are doing some amazing things. And Doc D has done so well raising this up and being able to truly spread the great word of the Lord in our community. So go ahead and vote. Also, I do want to congratulate She Academy Incorporated, as they are celebrating their 3rd year anniversary this Sunday, April 10th. Woo woo! Also on Monday, April 11th, from 4 to 8 p.m., She Academy will be having a Chipotle fundraiser at 3425 Thomasville Road. So I ask that you please support them. You can check out more information about She Academy on their Facebook page, and that will it will be awesome if you could support them. I am going to be supporting them, and I am just so happy that they're doing this in the community. I am grateful to know that there is a great community to empower girls and to be there. So y'all go support She Academy and congratulate them again on celebrating their 3rd year anniversary. Before I leave, I ask that you please #connect with me, connect spelled with the K, for everything, because it is unique, on all my social media platforms, which are YouTube, by subscribing to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel and turning on your post notifications. Also, please go to Instagram and follow me at Kaylin Cares 15. You can also follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And last but certainly not least, I ask that you please visit my website, which is at www.kaylinscaringconnection.com. Kaylin spelled Kaylin, and connection is with a K. On that website, you will find all things about why Kaylin's Caring Connection started and my whole inspiration behind it. But I thank you to those who continue to support me. Thank you for tuning in again today for another rendition of the radio show. I hope you know that every time I'm on here, I'm here to inspire, I'm here to motivate. My main phrase is I don't want to be famous. I just want to make a difference. So thank you for listening to me. If no one has told you today that they love you, know that I do. And I hope that you catch me on the next episode for the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I love you all and have a great rest of your day. Bye.